From this we further conclude that the divine consideration is not rational or discursive. For then our consideration is rational when we pass from one consideration to another, as in syllogizing from principles to conclusions. For it is not from this that one reasons or runs away, that he examines how the conclusion follows from the premises, considering both at the same time. For this happens not by arguing, but by judging the arguments, just as neither is material knowledge from the fact that it judges material things. Now it has been shown that God does not consider one thing after another as in succession, but all things at the same time. Therefore his knowledge is not reasoning or discursive, although he knows all discourse and reasoning. Again, every reasoner looks at the principles and the conclusion with a different consideration. For it would not be necessary, having considered the principles, to proceed to the conclusion, if from the very fact that the principles are considered, the conclusions are also considered. But God knows all things by one operation, which is his essence, as was proved above. It is therefore not a rational knowledge of its own. In addition, all rational knowledge has something of power and something of act. For conclusions in principles are in power, but power has no place in the divine understanding, as was shown above. His intellect is therefore not discursive. Further, in every discursive science there must be something caused, for principles are in a way the efficient cause of a conclusion. Hence the demonstration is called a syllogism, making one to know. But in divine knowledge nothing can be caused, since God himself is, as is clear from what has been said above. Therefore the knowledge of God cannot be discursive. Still, those things which are known naturally are known to us without reasoning, as is clear from first principles. But in God there can be no knowledge except natural, indeed only essential. For his knowledge is his essence, as was proved above. Therefore the knowledge of God is not rational. In addition, every movement must be reduced to the first mover, which is only the mover and not the mover. That, therefore, from which the first origin of motion is, must absolutely be the mover and not the motion. Now this is the divine intellect, as was shown above. It is necessary, therefore, that the divine intellect is entirely moving, not unmoved. But reasoning is a certain movement of the understanding passing from one thing to another. Therefore the divine intellect is not rational. Again, what is highest in us is lower than what is in God, for the lower does not reach the higher except at its highest point. But the supreme thing in our knowledge is not reason, but the intellect, which is the origin of reason. Therefore the knowledge of God is not rational, but only intellectual. Further, every defect must be removed from God, because he is simply perfect, as was shown above. But from the imperfection of the intellectual nature comes rational knowledge. For what is known through another is less known than what is known through itself. Nor is the nature of the knower sufficient for that which is known through something else, without that through which it is known. But in rational cognition, something is known through something else. But what is known intellectually is known by itself, and to know it the nature of the knower is sufficient without an external medium. Hence it is clear that some reason is defective in understanding. Therefore divine knowledge is not rational. Still, and from the discourse of reason are comprehended those whose species are in the knower. For the sight does not run to know the stone, whose likeness is in the sight. But the divine essence is the similitude of all, as was proved above. It does not, therefore, proceed to know anything through the discourse of reason. The solution of those things which seem to introduce discourse into divine knowledge is also clear. then from the fact that through his essence he knows other things. This indeed has been shown not to be done discursively, since its essence is related to other things, not as a principle is to conclusions, but as a species is to known things. Then from the fact that perhaps it would appear to some to be inconvenient if God could not syllogize. For he has the knowledge of syllogizing as judging, and not as running through syllogizing. And to this truth, proved by reason, even the Holy Scripture bears witness. For it is said in Hebrews 4:13, all things are naked and open to his eyes. For what we know by reason are not in themselves naked and open to us, but are open and laid bare by reason.